here knows who John Coyce is? Okay. Who here has ever seen Coyce and Spear together? The Seattle Institute, before they split up Coyce Center and Spear Education, okay? So the two of them were yin and yang. So Spear is that dynamic speaker that makes you feel like you can go home and do anything, and occlusion is now so easy, you understand everything. So Spear is like this amazing guy. I have this huge crush on him for years, because Spear is just, you know, dynamic, and he's a character. And then Coyce, he speaks slowly, he's methodical, he's into whole health, you know, he's just amazing in his own right. But the two of them together was the yin and yang of dentistry, right? And so in the PRI world, and then to me, you know, that those are the two. Dr. Pankey was gone a long time ago. So then Dawson is your great giant, right? In the scheme of dentistry, you got Dawson, and then you got Spear, and you got Coyce, right? Together, they were the giants in dentistry when we were all going through this. So in the PRI world, you have Ron Harushka at the PRI Institute, who actually went to Pankey Institute, is what he shared with me. Pretty amazing. And a left-hand person for Ron Harushka, who literally helped him write all of the classes, do everything, you know, wrote articles, did research and development, and they were literally the Spear and Coyce of PRI. And tonight we have both of them here, so I want to surprise you. Okay, so Mike is one of them, and James Anderson, stand up! This is my first time meeting with you. These are the legends.
I'm so tall, I don't like to be the super tall guy dwarfing over everyone, but it's really an honor to be here. I have come from a place, it's called St. George, Utah. It's just north of Las Vegas. You can see Zion National Park from my house. If you're familiar with that part of the world, that's where I've traveled from today. But it is so great to be here with you. And thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for having me.
Wouldn't miss it. James and I, you know, we started working in this understanding of postural restoration.
It's for the video.
Oh, really? So we'll just pass it. Yeah, we'll just pass it for the video. It's for the video.
Tell us about the history and how you came to be.
Okay. All right.
Years
Yeah.
ago, when the PRI started in the world.
So, two nerds who didn't know one another. We I was down in Georgia in Redneckville. We're still marrying our cousins, and Jack. I take it all back now. At least I'm not from Alabama, where we're dating our sisters. But at any rate, so being from Georgia, you know, I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I'm just a little voice, and I stumbled into a class that was being taught by Ron Harushka, and I started saying, well, this guy's onto something, and so I began to pay attention and go back to a lot more classes. And simultaneously, you want to tell where you were back in 1997, 98, and 99?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I had an interesting journey. I'm not sure if this microphone's working.
It's just for that.
Beautiful. And I completed my graduate training in physical therapy, and I wanted to be great at spine rehab and failed neck syndrome and just scoliosis and just everything associated with the spine and chronic pain. And I realized that was a big void in my profession, and there weren't a lot of great solutions. And so I went through my clinical affiliations, and I got done, and I came home and I told my wife, I said, honey, this isn't what I thought it was. These people aren't getting these people better. I thought I was going to change these people's lives, and I just got tied up in their struggles, and there aren't real great meaningful solutions. So I left the profession right at the end of my training, right at the end of my internship. Needless to say, that night I made my own dinner, and my wife and I kind of worked through that. But my brother has an environmental engineering firm in Canada, and I became the president of the U.S. arm of his firm, and I just left physical therapy and I went into business. And had I not in those early days stumbled into Ron Harushka, I wouldn't be involved with the profession of physical therapy, or certainly doing any of this cool integrative work that we're talking about today and tomorrow. for me, it was such a letdown to not have meaningful solutions that really help these people and change their lives. And I met Ron, and he had been taking concepts and ideas from Europe, from Scandinavia, a lot of Asian medicine and thought in terms of how the body works and how the nervous system can be regulated by respiration. Things from Canada and New Zealand, and he's blending these things together. And he was really a dynamic thinker, but it was hard for him to take what he was learning and make it understandable to the new and upcoming mentors or proteges to that mentor. And Mike and I, in those early days, Ron called on us to help him develop and teach and share. And we were just really able to be his voice because we're just average, normal communicators that aren't at such a high level that we can't relate to the new protege, the new learner, the people that really wanted to get good at it. So we felt like we were the voice of this as we helped develop this, and it was an honor for Mike and I to be able to be a part of that development and be a part of that instruction. And Mike, we did that for 20 years, and it was really a big part of what got us to the point that we could so comfortably and gratefully integrate with other professionals and have it be a boon and a success on both sides. So that's kind of the short story of how I ended up. And so I left physical therapy, and then I came back because of Ron's insights and his the way he was looking at the human body was fascinating to me. And I was like, that's what I was hoping to get in my physical therapy training and didn't. And it just kind of went from there.
We, James and I met, I think officially we met in 03, 04? Is that right? Roughly in there, in 03, 04, people were asking me, do I know this James guy? And apparently they were asking him the same thing about this Mike guy, because apparently we spoke very similarly or thought similarly anyway. And we were writing some papers that were trying to, basically for our own understanding, trying to understand the complexity of this material. And some of those white papers, if you want to call them that, found their way into some of the documents that are now out there in the ether with PRI. And eventually, James began teaching for the Institute. That was in 04 and a half, something like that. I mean, we taught the protonics thing, but so in 04 and a half, and then in 06, I started, and so we got to tag around with each other and crystallize more thought. And then that segued into sort of an explosive, exponential growth in this, because you know how that is. If you're thinking alone, you're at 50 miles an hour. If he's thinking alone, he's at 50 miles an hour, but together we're at 200 miles an hour. There's just that, the exponentiality of that is something that's difficult to articulate, but I think you get what I mean. Somewhere around 15 years ago, I began to take an exit ramp into dentistry, and then began teaching some of the occlusal courses in PRI, and then
To PTs?
to physical therapists. Yes, and so there would
Teaching occlusion to physical therapists?
yes, but you have to understand the
Interesting.
occlusion I'm teaching had nothing to do with teeth, and that's what you have to wrap your head around. The occlusion that I was teaching had everything to do with the body that the teeth arrived in the clinic in. So the teeth came attached to a body. In order to modify the occlusal relationship, we had to modify the body. So what we also realized was that we weren't teaching about a dental practice. I mean, I know enough to fill up a thimble in dentistry. I'd be a threat to humanity if you gave me those tools. I don't know any of that stuff. She's dropping terms up there. I'm like, what the heck is that? But what I do know, and what he knows, and this came in these last 10 to 15 years, is that without you, and this is what we'll be diving into tomorrow, and it's why James is here as well, but without you, the power that you hold in your license goes so far beyond what you realize. It makes us both want to be dentists, but then we wouldn't have the license to mess with these bodies that we have so much fun messing with. So it's like there's no way for me to be a dentist, and there's no way for you to be a physical therapist, right? But there is a way for me to be a dentotherapist, and there's a way for you to be a physiodentist. And that's what we're really interested in, is kind of creating that, the power of integration, climbing out of our silo and realizing that over in your silo, you got some really cool stuff. And from our perspective, you've got stuff that you don't realize you have. There should be an S on your chest because of the power that you have. So we came to realize that way back when, and that's why we spoke so passionately and still do about this subject and conveying it to dentists. When I would teach a class on understanding the cervical spine, the class ends in dentistry because it has to. That's power. So that's why you see splints or that squirrely faced kid in that image you saw a few minutes ago. That's why it makes a difference. So that's where James and I are now, traveling the country consulting. That's what we're trying to do. We're standing on the rooftops shouting it out. We understood with PRI basically says you need to have a dentist. Here's why you need to have a dentist. So everybody runs out and grabs a dentist, says, okay, I got one. Now what? And so what James...
I have PTs all over the country emailing me because he told them about me. And they're asking me all these questions. I'm talking today, I got one from Boston.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's from a dentist up there.
And
Mike DeMille, and he's a
said,
dentist. Yeah.
What are you doing different than the dentist here? Can you share with the dentist here? Because we need help so badly to do our work. We need a dentist so badly. So if you guys want to do this work, there's an entire PT network that's dying to work with you. And they have gazillion patients that need your care. Okay.
And myofunctional therapists,
Oh, yeah.
look out. Look out, because your world is about to change. Anyway, so that's our little intro. And somebody would say, "Well, Mike, are you Spear or what's that other guy's name?
Coys.
Coys? I don't know. I think I'm Spear or he's Spear.
He's Coys.
He's Coys. Oh, okay. All right.
Not all the way.
Today
You guys
I'm
are more
Spear.
similar than Spear and Coys. They're like left field and right field.
Today I'll be
It's
Spear and you're Coys. Tomorrow it'll
They're all
switch.
going crazy.
Anyway, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
enough said.
But they're two different styles, just amazing. And I've done some course or even looked at some coursework that you did on videos, and I've worked with Mike, and they teach so differently on the same topic. You're gonna hear like a different perspective. You know how it is when you hear the same thing from Spear or from Dawson. You get something new in the exact same thing they're saying.
You'll actually learn something when James speaks. So that'll be a really
But when
benefit.
Mike
To be a
speaks,
benefit.
You'll feel like, oh, I can do this. I can be PT. I
Heck
can
yeah.
Talk like him, from shit neck to good neck.
There you go.
So I think tonight I want to honor for us to leave at 9 because I'd like for us to start tomorrow if you guys get out of it. So we'll start the check-in today with all of you, and then we'll do part of that tomorrow. Okay? So when we do the check-in, we want to know the name and type of practice that you have. Share something that you've experienced that made you wonder about posture or airway, either in yourself or in what you've seen with patients. Okay? Where you stand on this and where you want to stand. If you don't know where you want to stand, say you don't know where you want to stand, but where do you stand? And you could stand in several different places. So we kind of want to hear about where you're at. And then what you're hoping to get out of this workshop that you have to leave knowing. So, okay? So who would...
I've passed the mic right here.
Oh,
So we can
perfect.
just start sliding the mic down and we get as far as we get. At 9 o'clock, we knock off and pick up where we left off
Awesome.
in the morning. I really love this part.
Yeah.
It's the favorite part.
It is.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Corey Holmes, and I'm with Cosmetic Dentists of Houston and Dr. Amanda Canto. I am here because I do have an interest in airway. I've trained in orthodontics and myofunctional just in the introduction of it. Definitely want to integrate what we're learning and be able to help Dr. Canto in her practice with it. Share something that I've experienced. I am a Bruxer, I think. I'm a student as well, and I know that, when times get tough and stressful, I notice that at night things are different as far as clenching and excursions and probably breathing as well. So I definitely want to dive deeper into that and see how that, applies to myself. I believe in this, and I know that you guys are onto something great, and I'm just feel blessed to be here as an assistant with aspirations of growing in the field and be able to apply and see this grow. And what I'm hoping to get out of this is just to be able to be a sponge, apply it to the practice, be beneficial to Doc in her practice and her patients.
Am I not blessed? I mean, my entire team sounds like that. Isn't that amazing? My whole team sounds like that. But he's, yeah. And by the way, you didn't find your, what's the final aspiration?
Dental school.
Dr. Holmes.
Dr. Holmes.
Sorry, I believe in declaration. So, and he knows that. So it's really just about putting it out there. Our goal is to get him to dental school. So.
Now that's cool.
Or PT school.
What did you say? Physical dental therapy?
Physiodentist. Physiodentist.
There you go. My name is Dee Dee, and I also work with Dr. Amanda at Cosmetic Dentist of Houston.
What's your role?
I'm a dental hygienist. Share something you experienced that made you wonder about airway. So at our practice, we do oral cancer screenings on our patients, and so being able to look in the mouth and the tonsils and the airway, and I know what to look for. And we do discuss sleep apnea often in our office, and we are in a process of implementing a lot of these important things to our patients, and I'm just excited to be here to learn. Where do you stand? Probably occlusion aware, I think so. That's where I am, and I would love to be the posture proficient. That would be great. What are you hoping to get out of this workshop? So with our new practice, she just built a beautiful, brand new practice.
Next meeting's at Amanda's place.
I would say, yeah, that'll be awesome. It's gorgeous, like so fortunate, very blessed. So what I hope to get out of this workshop, we will be implementing myofunctional therapy into our office, and I will take the lead role. I have worked with myofunctional with kids, so I have a little bit of knowledge. So we want to actually implement that into our office. So I'm interested in learning, everything. But Dr. Amanda wants to take the holistic approach in her practice. So little by little, we're just, gathering the tools to be able to help our patients. Yeah.
So I am Amanda Canto, and as you see, I am really blessed with lots of amazing people. We are a general and cosmetic practice and have been with the name of Cosmetic Dentist of Houston. I think a lot of times we get confused with we could be a beauty shop for teeth. We have never been that. It always has been about functional, healthy dentistry, because this is what I say to all patients. There's nothing that's beautiful in nature without it being healthy. And I'm the poster child for all of the problems that any patient could come in with, I promise.
You're the poster child for what?
For any problem that can happen, pretty much.
Yourself.
I myself am that person, and I truly believe that God allows me to go through it so that I can learn some serious empathy. My brain is the kind of brain that does work a lot like Alice's. It's like, what's the source? Where is this coming from? I can't just treat the little patchy thing anymore, and probably never have. It's just, you don't know what you don't know, right? So, I have experienced, the breathing issues. I've experienced the TMJ that probably frustrated the hell out of her. I have experienced my poor sister, who's been my dentist. Giancarlo Romero. I've done it all. Ortho, surgery, implant. We're doing it all. And what's exciting to me is that, I stand right now probably right at I want to say I'm not proficient in the TMD, and we're working on the airway. So I would probably say right at that head and neck proficient. I feel pretty good about all the rest of it, and even posture aware. My goal would be to posture proficient, obviously. Yeah, very much. Yep, and I can't wait to tell you some other discovery after she said something, but I'll tell you in private. But I think it'll help diagnose me a lot. And what I'm really hoping for is I'd like to learn as much as I can so that I too can transition into a higher level of helping more patients. What we are really, looking for is integrating as many avenues of whole body, mind, body, and soul. Because I believe that if your smile is beautiful and you're happy, it makes your brain happy. Your brain's happy, it makes your spirit happy. And if all of that is working and then your body's also healthy, it all works together. And so this whole new office, after 33 years of practice, for me to double the size of the practice and build out a whole new facility and somebody else would think I'm crazy. But my goal is to leave this world a better place. And so this is my next step, and it's just evolving. So I'm excited to learn everything that I can implement, and then also how to screen people to the level where I understand, okay, they need to get to see you guys, because I know I'm never going to, my practice is, I'm not going to be just solid this. I love the aesthetic work. I love the full mouth reconstruction. I love all this.
That's the nice thing, the way that, and this is the reason why Mike and James and I and Liz and Heidi Wise, who you will meet. She is a neuro-optometrist who works with us. We recently formed AIA, Advanced Integration Academy, and it's going to be an academy that integrates. We're going to have an arm that's a dental arm, a vision arm, a PT arm, a myofunctional therapy arm. And we're bringing
That's
together
exciting.
all the disciplines, and we're going to be creating different tracks. So that way, if you want to be a responsible dentist that do good, solid, cosmetic or occlusally oriented dentistry, you can do it without getting in trouble and causing harm to your patients, and maybe along the way help them a little bit. You can do it that way. Or if you want to dabble in a little bit and start making a few splints, a few simple AOLs, just like some of us do a few simple implants, and the ones that are difficult, we send them to Todd, right? So you'll have that pathway. And then if you really want to dive into this and be really good and proficient and masterful at this, we'll also have that arm available. So that's coming up to theater near you. So.
Hi, good evening. I am Olga Hill. I am a dentist in the Cypress area. I trained in prosthodontics. I was never excited about doing the full mouth rehabilitations. I feel it's killing a lot of healthy enamel. So I knew my dad at some point would need a full mouth rehab, but I have not touched him because I've been in search of a better way of doing it for him rather than crowning everything. I found it. I'm still learning. I think TMJ is very important. When I graduated from PROS, I took the first airway course or sleep apnea course for dentists, and I totally hated it because I felt occlusion was going to be damaged with mandibular advancement appliances. So I kind of didn't pay attention to it, put it away, and my husband is heavy snorer, and I kept looking and trying to learn, and finally in 2000 I took the first new course. I actually took Dr. Simon's course. And for me that course was like very eye-opening, and like the entire course was like and it all went back to myself and all I've been going through with my own mouth. I was in an orthotic from a TMJ doctor because my own orthotic failed. You know, how I knew how to adjust orthotics, it was not helping me out anymore. I went to I was in another orthotic. I was in another orthotic done by a TMJ doctor, which I'm not gonna mention. It made me worse. It was an upper. It was trapping me. I'm in an upper right now. I'm unhappy, and I've been the best I've been. I went to another TMJ doctor. I was having migraines, and that's something I've talked to Teresa before since my C-section. I started to have very bad TMJ pains, and now I am better. I'm not taking any medications for migraines. I feel better. I guess at some point I'm kind of more balanced. But I still feel very, very tight in my entire body, and I know that's the missing part. Also, myofunctional therapy.
So your whole body.
So I probably am in the head and neck aware, learning a lot about airway TMJ, but I cannot say I'm proficient because I have not really treated much. I've done a lot of orthotics and waiting to see what's the feedback. I'm posture aware, but I don't know anything about how to fix stuff, right? Well, I'm aware because I feel it. I feel it in my body. And I feel like all these experiences that I'm going through are going to help better my patients. And it's easier to explain things to them. And I've been trying to seek for more knowledge to understand.
Airway study club meeting?
I've not been to. On that Dr. Simmons meeting, that first night there was a meeting, and that's how I found out it existed. But everyone was going to that meeting, and I was not going to that meeting. So, and it's COVID hit, so
When Laura did that in October.
Yeah.
That one?
No, I was in Dallas doing a course.
So you've heard about this?
Yes, yes.
This is your first time ever experiencing it?
Mm-hmm. But I always knew I was, like, my body part was the missing piece, like to finish fixing everything or starting to fix. In the practice I'm not being able to apply the airway. So I'm dying to do this stuff because I know a lot of people need help.
How long have you been in practice?
In Houston, I graduated residency 2013. So I've seen a lot, and I see things, and I'm like, you cannot stop thinking about it, and sometimes I'm like, oh my God, how much am I gonna tell this patient? So what do I want to get from the course? Learn more, and I hope I can get more involved and help patients find relief.
Thank you.
Let's see. I'm Marilyn Jones. Happy to be here. I'm a biological dentist in Houston, the Galleria area. And since I'm older, I've probably done more. But I've done a lot of appliances, ALF appliances, TMJ appliances, a lot of training, Dawson, all of that. And so I've enjoyed every minute of it. And then I got into Dr. Liao's airway and went out to Falls Church, Virginia. And then he had a course in Houston, and so.
You guys know who Dr. Liao is?
Mm-hmm.
The one who wrote that book. Is it 6 foot?
Mm-hmm. And then he gave some courses in Houston, and then he sold his intellectual property to Vivos. And so I joined Vivos after that, and have been doing the airway appliances with Vivos. And I have a wonderful clinical advisor, so she has been really, really helping me, educating me on.
Have you done a lot of those cases?
Yes, yeah, I like it. Yeah, and so they're all challenging, they're all different, and but they all improve. The only one I have that she came in this week, and she said, "I'm not improving." I said, "So, are you wearing your CPAP?" "No." I said, "Are you wearing your appliance?" "No, I can't wear any of those things." I said, "Can you breathe through your nose?" She went, "No." So I said, "That's where we've got to start. You've got to breathe through your nose." And so, so she's clenching so hard till she can't turn the screw in her appliance. because she's clenching so hard and she can't breathe through her nose. So I think she probably needs what y'all are talking about also.
Yeah, we're going to chat a little bit about that type of, that very
Good, good. And I've got some little problems myself, so I'm real interested in how this might help me. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but I put myself in a 20 years ago or longer. I'm in the sleep course and the Academy of Clinical Sleep, and they, like they always do, they come in. The manufacturer says, "How many dentists want to do a sleep test and see what you are?" So they came in and they did that. So I was the only one in the class that didn't have sleep apnea. So fast forward to 2019, I'm in the Vivos course, same thing. They offer us the chance to take the sleep test. Now I'm moderate sleep apnea. Just over those years, I did nothing. And so I thought, well, I better make myself an appliance. So because I was sleep apnea, I made a mRNA, pull my jaw out. So now I've got TMJ problems and an open bite in the back. Yeah, from wearing that appliance. Yeah, oh, what a joy is right. So I threw that thing away and I just wear my DNA, but still.
Got it. And that's where you're at now.
That's where I am now. Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of my background. So done a lot of things. Well, I'm totally in for this posture aware, total body approach. Yeah. I used to go out to California. I went to some chirodontics courses, and some of my friends out there do it. And I've got a liner to mount the models on and all of that.
Whose work have you been following, and who did you learn from? Because there's several ALF places that they do totally different things with ALFs.
So I was at a bioresearch meeting, and Bob Klein was there, and so we're all sitting at the table having lunch. And I looked at Bob and I said, "You're all off, And he goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I have my scanar with me, and I can do the bowling ball technique on your neck, and I'll change everything for you." So that's what I did. I did the bowling ball, got him to do it like this to help adjust his sphenoid, and he went, "Wow." So he went back to have the chirodontics, Bob check him, and he went, "Oh my gosh, you're better." But so he started coming to San Antonio for about 5 years, and then he came to my office for about 3 to teach orthodontics and TMJ and ALF and all that. So he's the one that taught me. Yeah, so he's and he used to be in California, but he moved to Kentucky. Yeah.
What's his last name?
Bob Klein, Klein, and he knows, what's that guy, Gergens, is it? Yeah, Gergens, I think.
Because ALF was originally invented by Derek Nordstrom,
And
but Derek does something with the ALF totally different than several other places that teach ALF. They use it for different reasons, and their goals are different.
so Bob recommended Derek's course, and
Derek?
and then he recommended the 2 Canadian guys. That's who he recommended to learn from for the ALFs. Yeah. So I'm excited about this. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm glad you're here.
Oh, thank you. Here you go, Neela.
Maybe we're 9 o'clock already. Maybe we can do Neela and Laura real quick, so then tomorrow we'll take care of everybody else. Okay? Are y'all okay with that? Okay.
Hi, I'm Neela Patel, and type of practice. I'm a general dentist. I do some cosmetics. I do some TMD, and that's sort of how I started getting to know Alice. I mean, we've been in study clubs forever. I don't know, for a while. Yeah, maybe 20 years. Yeah.
She and I did Pinky together. We're in the TMD study club.
Yeah, so
And we've done it all together. She's one of my best friends in the industry.
well, that's very sweet. She's always very sweet. But you know, I feel like I've heard about postural restoration for like, I don't know, maybe 10 years, 7, 8, 9, yeah. And it kind of blew my mind then, and it still blows my mind today. And I hear about it at least 2 or 3 times a year. And I see things. I mean, I see the sphenoid bone out. I look at this. I look at the whole body, but I don't know how to do the full picture. I know. I tell my patients I can help here, but I'm not sure if it will stay, and I've got to find them help. So I was really glad when you guys started doing this, because, I mean, you know.
I remember you telling me that.
I've been telling you this for years.
When I was down here, whenever we talked once before, and you were telling me that, because when you said it, then it jarred that in my head. I was like, I remember her telling me that. So I really want us to try to get some of your
I need to connect the dots or something. It's like I've got notes. I've got piles of notes.
We had a rep from PRI came to our study club. She presented things so out of what we know, but it wasn't in a useful way. All we felt was more confused, right?
Well, I've even seen Ron Hrushka, but he was talking to a room full of physical therapists and dentists. So it was good, but I was writing notes like crazy. And it's like Laura said, not really sure what I wrote, you know?
I have them all here, all of Ron Hruska's notes, and I'm like, this is important, and I don't understand a thing.
You know, I honest to God, I know that feeling. You know, in the beginning, every class he ever took, the only instructor was Ron. And, you know, we all need people here on Earth that are from Saturn. And Ron is from Saturn. And the people from Saturn have a real hard time communicating concepts, you know? And
They're brilliant.
they're brilliant, but you need a couple of ditch diggers to kind of, you know, make it clear. And so, you know, the world needs blue-collar ditch diggers, and so that's what we try to do, is translate that
James,
material.
speak for yourself.
He's like, who are you?
See, he's hearing voice.
But I totally get it. I mean, how many pages of notes do we have? You know, and you're looking at it. Well, I know this is important. I know it's important. I've literally said that myself. This is important. Anyway, go ahead, Neela. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. So, you know, I've got 2 or 3 patients right now that I have no idea. I know I can help their team, Jay. I know how to get all the records. I know I get all the pictures. I get it all. And I can help them to a certain point, and that's all I know, you know? And a lot of times it's not fully bite related, but there's so much of it is integrated. You know, there's bite and airway. There's a lot. People seek me out, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know what to do, but I know I'll find the help for you. You know what I mean? I'll figure it out somehow. But
Yeah, because even when we don't know, guys, I mean, don't you just, even, and you do your best, you just don't want to mess people up. You know, you get that angst. I think I know what I'm doing, but I hope I don't mess you up. You guys get that? So, I mean, we're on the same boat.
yeah, but I've always known that that's been below the neck that affects this. And I tell patients that all the time, you know, and I tell them to see orthodontists. You know, I mean, we know what we see. We know, hey, this is not working. But I'm not as developed as Alice in this. I'm like an elementary school kid in this stuff, I feel like sometimes.
The between us is I came with pain, and I went and I went through the pain. I'm a TMD patient, a postural patient. I was desperate. I flew over there as a patient. But Neil and I have gone through the exact same training and everything. And she lives without pain. I have pain all the time.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just, I'm probably not aware of it.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Maybe that's good.
maybe, yeah.
That's good.
But I would just love to connect all the dots, you know?
and then figure it out. But I'm one of those people, I have to connect it all. But I feel like I must be head and neck proficient or aware, and I know I'm posture aware, so I'm somewhere in there. That's about me.
I keep looking at this microphone and I'm like, what is this, a microphone for ants? Yeah. I'm Laura Lucan. I type of practice, well, general with a giant airway focus. And is there something you've experienced?
She's masterful at
Nothing. I'm obsessed with tongues. I will say I'm obsessed with tongues.
surgery, and I'm like, I'm never touching her again. Oh yeah, she's told me about it. She's got like this entire scientific method of how to release.
Well, it's Rachel and I, like, I had Rachel sit in there with me and made sure that we were in line with our practices and the way we do it, because I wanted to make sure. She's been doing them longer than I have, and you know, so I was always picking her brain and making sure we went to Zoggy and did the whole thing. And so and you know, I think you do them and you start learning things, and you talk about wild experiences. And we have a common patient that was my one wild experience, but it was really cool. Justin.
Yes. Justin.
Yeah.
He just graduated our program.
Yeah. I'll have my 2-week follow-up with him from his second release Monday. And also Deanna's patient. So it's the most gratifying treatment that I provide, and I love it. I mean, because it's just, I mean, Rachel knows, it's just incredible what it's linked to. And again, I'm still learning. I learn with every single patient. Everyone is different in their responses. But again, it hasn't been, you know, fortunately, it's been good, you know. Is there something you've experienced in me? Airway in myself, or, you know, allergies, asthma, like those sorts of things are, you know, sleep maintenance, insomnia. Those were things with me that just through breathing have been able to change. I'm a huge breathing nut. I've been doing so much learning on breathing, and I'm almost through the breathing cure right now. I've read all of Patrick McKeown's books, and so I'm almost through with that one. But it's just really interesting to me. I follow Wim Hof and all these things, and I'm trying to put everything together. And obviously, I've hung out with Mike enough to get bits and pieces also, and link it back to Ron Huska's lecture, and, like, you know, do that sort of stuff. But you say elementary, you're elementary. I'm like pre-K. No. And I would say I'm like single tooth, occlusion aware, head and neck aware, and posture aware, but not proficient in anything. That's about where I stand. So I'm hoping to become proficient in something one day. Yeah.
Laura, I'm sitting over here going, whatever.
No.
It just goes to show she sets too high standards for herself. But I was thinking the same thing for myself. So I feel you.
I'm like, proficient. That's why I'm here. I've got tons of learning to do, and I love it. I love it. So
tomorrow we will start the day. We're gonna have just a small breakfast with bagels. So if you're free or special, you may want to eat your breakfast before you come here. But we'll have that. We'll have snacks through the day with coffee and water and all kinds of good stuff throughout the day. We'll start out and we'll finish a check-in, and then Mike and James will dive deeper into some of the stuff we're talking about. Hyperinflative syndrome, And they're gonna go into the cranial strain patterns and all of that, so that you can get, you know, they're gonna look at muscles. We're gonna look at body parts, so get ready to, you know, if you wanna bring your gross anatomy lab and start putting stuff in, I mean, your book, your gross anatomy book, you can, but he's gonna take you down and kind of you know, since we've heard, it's been a while since we've had dental school, right? So you'll get reacquainted with your body. And then we are going to break out in labs. What are we going to do first? Oh, we are going to select 1 or 2 live patients, and it'll be in this room. And we'll show how the diagnostic process is done. Through the diagnostic process, you guys are going to learn a lot. We're going to show you how to do diagnostic process chairside for your patients, so that when you're delivering splints or ALFs or DNA appliances or any of that, you can actually see, is the body ready for this? And if I put this appliance in, what happens to the body? Is it taking the body to a better place? Or is there a pitfall that I need to avoid before I give this appliance? You know, so we can't do everything all in a day, but we figure the best thing we can give you guys is to at least know what the pitfalls are, so you don't get in trouble, right? And then we're gonna have more programs down the line to help you get more and more proficient at what you're doing. At the end, we're gonna have a panel discussion. We're gonna get together. Christy Gatto is gonna be here, but if she's not here, we're gonna invite Deanna, who works with Christy as malfunctional therapist. And Karen and Angela don't know it yet, but they're part of the panel. So we need our orthodontist. We need Laura about tongue releases. And so we're going to have a panel discussion, and I think that'll be a really good discussion. We're hoping that when we leave, you guys feel like, man, I can really wrap my head around this, and I at least can recognize this. I know what the pitfalls are, and I'm going to come back, and this is where I want to dive into my learning. So, okay, so that's how we're going to do tomorrow.
Cool. See you tomorrow.